John Cena has 18 days remaining in his WWE life, if I am correct. If not, it's 17 or 19, around that number. And this is exactly what I think is going to happen. The reason I decided this video now is because we are essentially halfway through the year, but also I think John Cena, is about to lose his WWE title. Now, I could be completely wrong, given that SmackDown is happening later as I am talking to you, but I totally believe that Cody Rhodes is going to win the King of the Ring, and even if he doesn't, I still think Cody Rhodes versus John Cena is set for SummerSlam Night 2. Again, WWE are now officially desperate to make SummerSlam hot WrestleMania, hence why they are doing it over an entire weekend, and you're going to need a match that is as big as it can possibly be. And really, even though we've seen it before at WrestleMania 41, the ending was a bit wibbly-jibbly, everyone went crazy about it. Doing it again and putting the belt back on Cody is just going to send the message, oh, hey, WrestleMania and SummerSlam are kind of connected now. Cody lost the championship there, and he won it back there. Ipso facto, we can then do the last 6 months, or the last part of 2025 as Cody going back to his title reign, where he would probably face CM Punk at WrestleMania 42. Different video, different day. But it does leave John Cena in a very, not precarious situation, but an interesting situation, because without that title, he doesn't need to be a heel anymore. And also, going through July, or would be in August by then, so going through August, September, October, November, December, there's no need to keep him as a heel. Nobody's booing him properly anyway, although I personally love his heel turn because I think it's hilarious. And by the time we get to his last match in December, which is going to be in Boston, Massachusetts, apart from maybe Steve Austin, I cannot think of anybody that is going to be able to be put into that match and not get booed out of the building. John Cena is going to be a hero. John Cena is going to be a babyface. WWE is not stupid, so there's no point proceeding to that date without sort of having some fun beforehand. And also, before the comments go nuts, no, it's not going to be Steve Austin. Of course it's not going to be Steve Austin. I'm just saying, I can think of a few other people. Maybe a child. Maybe you had a child, had a horrible backstory, and a really hard upbringing, would be like, you know what, we wouldn't, wrestling fans would boo him, because wrestling fans can be terrible people. So I think John Cena will lose at SummerSlam. Then he comes out on Raw, and of course we have a very interesting situation to try and work here. How on earth do we get him back babyface? Well, I think WWE's already planted the seeds, because there is one person on that roster who is so obviously always going to get jeered and hated over Mr. Cena, and it's Logan Paul. Now, I couldn't figure out for the life of me why we did that Money in the Bank match. As we're doing Logan Paul and John Cena versus Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso, I thought it was weird. I thought it was out of nowhere. I didn't think it made much sense. But then I kind of realized, oh no, we're putting them together so we can split them apart. Because what happened in that match, and even the promo beforehand, shenanigans, falling out, can't coexist. And then what did John Cena do when he gave his big James Bond villain speech? He said, I scouted Seth, and I scouted Cody, and I scouted CM Punk, and I scouted Jey. And that's right, I manipulated Logan Paul into doing my bidding. Now, he can say that, because again, we hate Logan Paul. That's the one thing that the entire WWE universe can kind of agree on, or at least en masse, people are going to boo him. So I think either on the Raw or SmackDown after SummerSlam, John Cena's going to be out there. He's probably still going to be putting his big pout face on, like, oh man, I feel like anything, can't believe I lost the belt. You guys absolutely suck. And he is going to get interrupted by Logan Paul. And Logan Paul's going to get booed. And Logan Paul's going to say some horrible things. And in that moment, John Cena, even if he doesn't change his complete rhetoric, because knowing John Cena, I think he'd like to sort of sway into this with a little bit more grace, it doesn't matter. Because if he takes all that fine speech power and he throws it onto Logan Paul, which is not a euphemism, that place, wherever it may be, will go absolutely crazy. And it also means, I forget the schedule, because WWE has so many events, so you can pick whichever one you want, right? But it does mean in the next big pay-per-view or PLE, or you can do it on television, it doesn't really matter anymore, we are going to see a John Cena versus Logan Paul match. And that may send you a bit crazy, because you're like, wait a minute, 2 of the dates are going to be used up with Logan Paul, 3 technically, because we have to have a promo off as well. Well, I think so. And actually, I think it's quite good booking. And I think it's quite smart by WWE. Because if this is what they're going to do, he fits it perfectly, right? I'm not going to get into the debate about should Logan Paul be a wrestler or is a good wrestler. He knows what he's doing, right? Within his box, within his lane. That's totally fine. Should he be main event at WrestleMania? No. Should he ever be a world champion? No. But can you have these kind of independent people? It's a weird thing to say. These kind of individuals in wrestling? Of course you can. It's horses for courses, and we should always be trying out something new. Anyway, we get to that match. Logan Paul, John Cena. John Cena will go full-on babyface here because, of course, he just hates Logan Paul. He will beat him, which everybody's going to be cool with. Like, it's not when we had, well, really, John Cena versus Cody Rhodes, and some people were like, we can't have John Cena beat Cody Rhodes, even though it was totally fine. And then moving out of that, it's just fun time, right? It's fun time in your pants. You can do whatever you want because we've done the CM Punk thing. That's going to happen at Night of Champions. We've done Cody Rhodes. We even did R-Truth, right? We really went into our deep cuts there. We did Randy Orton. And there's no one else you really need to do John Cena as a heel against. Like John Cena, Sami Zayn would be brilliant. Are we going to do it? It doesn't seem likely. Kevin Owens probably would have been an option, but Kevin Owens would have been the heel, and very sadly, he's out injured. And then you kind of like, you run out of options. Like LA Knight versus John Cena. Great. Do we need to do it? Not really. And there is someone else who we're going to get to in the back end of this video that would benefit, but it makes much more sense that John Cena is a good guy at that point in order to serve what I think John Cena is going to do. So he gets through Logan Paul. Now, by this point, he's running out of dates, okay? We're going to be sort of getting nearer to 10 than we are 20. So he's going to have to go away for a little while. He is going to have to miss some things. And at a Survivor Series, let's say, if you do a War Games, of course you would put John Cena in that. Because one, John Cena is the first guy to tell you he's lost a step, his knees aren't working as well as he would want them to be. The man gave 20 plus years to wrestling. I think sometimes we can be a little bit nicer. And I'm going to throw it in here too. Same with Goldberg. I think some people have been way too horrible to him. Although as always, Goldberg just comes out and yells at everyone, which really makes me laugh. But if you have those kind of stipulation matches where you can hide John Cena's weaknesses and extenuate his promises, that's not the right thing to say, but you know what I'm talking about. That's what you should do, especially because that Survivor Series is right before, and I mean right before, his last match. So I'm skipping a big chunk here, we'll go back to it, but it's a nice segue. Do you know who is probably going to be on one side of those War Games matches? Seth Rollins' new group. We have Seth Rollins, we have Bronson Reed, we have Bron Breakker, and of course we have Paul Heyman, but he wouldn't be in it. That wouldn't make any sense. But there was rumours recently that maybe a Ricky Saints or an Ethan Page could be inserted into that group. I, for one, would go with Ethan Page. I think he'd be brilliant in that. But it doesn't matter. Much like we've seen before, you can find other bodies who would want to serve Seth Rollins' cause or at least hate the people that he's facing so much, they'll jump on board. And do you know who will be on the other side of that, probably leading the team? It will be John Cena. Because I think John Cena is going to get tied up with all the Seth Rollins stuff at the end of the year. Maybe at that time, Seth Rollins is the world champion. And I think we will see a Seth Rollins versus John Cena match at some point. But I do not think that is going to be the last match that he does do. And this is when things get a little bit weird. So, Seth Rollins will probably do it at whatever the flub the thing before Survivor Series is. And the reason we do that is because it'll be a big old schmoz. We'll throw it out. This is why I keep talking, especially on Ups and Downs and What Culture. Make sure you check that out. But I totally think that all distractions, interference, and confusion should be saved for Seth Rollins' group. So anytime Seth Rollins or any of his cronies are in trouble, they just attack like eagles and birds, and we all hate them. And it feels awful because they're taking away these victories and they're saving themselves. So you could probably do it on television, I suppose, or you could do it at a big event because there's other matches that will be able to main event because we have another world championship in play. And maybe Seth Rollins isn't even the champion by that point. Maybe we are saving that for later in the year or 2026. But you can do the Seth Rollins-John Cena match with John Cena being like, man, Seth Rollins, you are a piece of trash. I don't like you at all. That then becomes a big schmoz, which of course then ties in to the War Games match. And I like that only because War Games is a little bit like Hell in a Cell or Extreme Rules from back in the day, where WWE would have a pay-per-view branded after a stipulation match, so you have to have the stipulation, and then you kind of figure the story into it, which sucks. But if WWE knows they're going to do the War Games match, and at least they can plant some seeds before then, at least it justifies it a bit more. And Team Cena versus Team Rollins, that's right, would be super interesting, because John Cena can then go and recruit all of his buddies that he's beaten and be like, I'm so sorry I didn't do it. Can we have one last ride as a team? I shouldn't have beaten up. So, I mean, it depends what else is going on. I think this may be quite hard because I think Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton may be feuding by then. So maybe you could put Randy on Team Rollins and you could put Cody on Team John Cena. But even if we're not there, right, an option would be John Cena, Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, and somebody else, probably a Ron Killings, because it sounds like he's maneuvered himself into a position where he's going to be featured like that. Hell yeah, I love that guy. And that is just, I mean, it's cheesy and it's a bit like a fairy tale, but at least then John Cena gets to sign off as the ultimate babyface, which he always was. He apologizes, they fight, and there it doesn't really matter what you do, because when you get to that December match, I don't think it should be John Cena versus Seth Rollins, although you can do that, right? I'm putting that on the table. If WWE wants to pull that trigger, that is totally fine, mostly because I think John Cena is losing in his last match. I think he's a traditionalist in that sense. I don't think he would want to go out with a win, and that was the same with Sting, but it sounds like WWE has said to John he can do whatever he wants. I mean, Triple H may be pulling the wool over our eyes, but it does feel that way. And let's not forget that if Sting had done what he wanted, he would have lost too. It's out there. He spoke about it. He wanted to do what was right for the business, which you do have to respect, but that would have just made us feel like sad pandas. I also think it will make us feel like sad pandas if John Cena loses in his hometown, but I think there is more of an opportunity. It's not the right word. I think there's more likelihood that does happen. And if that's the case, it means he wants to put somebody over. It means he wants to take that stamp and stick it on somebody's head. And that can be Seth Rollins. It's very much a Brock Lesnar versus Undertaker situation for WrestleMania 30. Were there other people that could have used that? Absolutely. But did Brock Lesnar get 10 years of being the final boss out of it? He did too, right? I think you could argue that both ways. The cows come home. It's happened. It's done. It was 12 years ago. I don't think we need to cry over it. And if that's the case, I think it'll be Seth Rollins. If we really want to make Seth Rollins that guy, and we have plans to have this group around as long as the bloodline, and essentially make Seth Rollins where Roman Reigns was like 3 or 4 years ago, that's what you should do. Seth Rollins should come on TV every single week and say, I beat John Cena, I beat John Cena, I beat John Cena, and really get under people's skin. And I do think it will work. Like, Seth is already at a level, right? Seth is already, as far as I'm concerned, a Hall of Famer, and WWE's gone through some crazy times that without him probably would have sucked. But having that scalp and John Cena going away and knowing that he's probably never going to come back, that gives you a kind of magic and a kind of power you can only imagine, right? It really does, because only one person can get that. And if WWE jumps on it and capitalizes on it in a way they didn't when Austin Theory beat John Cena, which also was kind of a weird interim period for the company in general, I think it would do the world of good for Seth. That's option one. Option two, however, is Mr. Bron Breakker. Now, let's face it, we all know that at some point, probably not as soon as WrestleMania, because I think WWE likes to be patient now. And also, you could do it at SummerSlam if they are trying to blow SummerSlam up. But you just know, of course you want to do this. It's the obvious storyline. It's like when you watch a romance movie. Let the two leads get together, otherwise what are we doing? But Bron Breakker is going to be the guy to break up that group. There will be seeds of doubt. It's essentially going to be evolution. He will be the Batista, and it will lead to a Seth Rollins versus Bron Breakker match at WrestleMania or SummerSlam, whatever the flub you want to do, and Bron Breakker will beat him for the World Championship. It worked at WrestleMania 21. Triple H was literally involved in that Batista match, and who's now booking the show? There ain't no way he's not going to go back to that. And if you do take the time, Bron Breakker is going to be a massive star. Even if it failed, WWE is going to try again, right? He's been earmarked, you can tell. And I think really that's why we double down on him being a heel, because beforehand he was a little bit of a tweener, more of a babyface, whereas now it's like it's time for the heel run. We'll settle in, we'll take away the stuff the fans want to see, and eventually we will unleash you onto Seth Rollins, and he will win that title, and then he'll be a made man. But a way to really, really, really give him all of 2026 as the ultimate heel and position him above Seth Rollins in some people's eyes is to have him beat John Cena. And there's your catalyst. There's the reason Seth can't stand this guy, even though he wants him on his team, because he's still a little bit of a sniffling little bad guy. And you can get that across in promos, especially with Paul Heyman there, where it's like, oh man, I'm so happy with my team. I got Bronson Reed, I got Ethan Page, give it a beat, give it a beat, give it a beat. I got Bron Breakker, then they give the eyes to each other, and Paul Heyman's in the background doing his facial expressions that he does. And sometimes Paul sits down with Bron and says, listen man, you got to understand, Seth Rollins is the dude, you need to give him more respect. And Bron's like, but I beat John Cena, why are you doing this to me? I think that's a great story. Now you can do it in different ways. Like Batista turned on Evolution because they were saying mean things about him, right? But it still worked because of the way that Batista sold it, and the fact we got to WrestleMania 21 and he just whooped Triple H's ass, and we got a couple more matches out of it, and by the end of it, Batista just felt like the best world champion ever. So there's other things you can do, and you can keep it more simple. But when you have something like this amazing John Cena choice, whatever you want to say, right there, I think it's something you need to sit down and consider. Like, I really, really do. And if all of a sudden you have Bron Breakker in 2026 being the dude, then he can do it. So Seth Rollins can do it as well, but he's Seth Rollins, right? He's already a made man. So if you do want to do the opposite to WrestleMania 30, Bron Breakker is the guy. I don't know how much promo time he's going to get. I think that's one of the negatives of Seth Rollins' group right now. We need to share the microphone a little bit, but it's still early days. But Bron can be the guy. So Seth Rollins is like, I'm the man, I'm the champion, he's got the belt, and Bronson Reed, like, I'm the muscle, I'm going to smash you, crush you. Paul Heyman's like, I'm the wise man, whatever he calls himself these days. Bron Breakker continually says that I'm the guy that beat John Cena. And for a while, it's going to be boo, 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 we hate you, because we will do. That's the idea. But after a time, we just get used to things. And if Seth Rollins come September of 2026, let's say that's when you want to start the build, all of a sudden gets on Bron Breakker's case for this, you just know that with the right patience and with the right take our time, everybody, people are going to be so desperate for Bron Breakker to do that, it's totally going to work. And again, I want to make it clear, it does work the other way, but this works harder. And who else are you going to do? When you go through the roster, it's going to have to be a heel, right? We've established that. Seth Rollins, absolutely top of the tree, don't mind it. Bron Breakker, absolutely. It sounds like I'm being mean to Bronson Reed. I just don't think think WWE sees him that way. I got no problem with Bronson Reed being a world champion, but I think within that group, if you were going to make a hierarchy, Bron Breakker is above that. So, let's not stand on ceremony here, Mr. Wayne. If you have got that penciled in, even though who knows what's going to happen for WrestleMania 43, is that right? It must be in 2026, which is probably going to be in Las Vegas. Then you get it done, and you put it in now. And also, they have faith in Bron Breakker. Of course, we all do. We all know he's going to be a star. Him beating John Cena is only a net positive. I don't think he's all of a sudden going to fall off. The only thing, and I wouldn't wish this on anybody, is that he could get injured, but that's a risk that everybody takes. That could happen to Seth Rollins. That could happen to John Cena before he even gets to December, so you cannot worry about things like that. The rocket is going to be strapped to Bron Breakker regardless, so let's load that rocket up. Don't just give him some bread, give him some cheese, give him some pickle, give him some ketchup, and give him all the bread in the world so he can be a mega sandwich. And I promise you, my friends, in no other world are you going to watch a wrestling video where I compare Bron Breakker to a sandwich. On that note too, I'll promote my Patreon, patreon.com/Simon316. It's only $5 to do watch-alongs, but you get a lot of comments like that, so I think you should sign up. And I suppose there is one other guy that I would put in there, but I think he's too close to turning babyface, and that would be Drew McIntyre. Now, Drew McIntyre and John Cena don't have any sort of serious history with each other, because obviously Drew McIntyre left the company for all those years, and by the time he came back, John Cena was sort of transitioning into his own thing. But they have had words sort of here and there that you could lie into. So if you really, 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 really want to go doubling down with Drew McIntyre as a heel, yes. At the same time, you could probably turn babyface off the back of it because Drew's quite good at that. But I don't know. I think you're kind of walking a tightrope there. I'd love it for Drew McIntyre, because if anyone deserves a big push by the time they do come back, especially based on what he did in the CM Punk feud, it is Drew. But I think he's too entertaining, and I think you're going to start crossing wires and crossing the streams, and the Ghostbusters told us to never do that. Same with the Damian Priest. I'd love for him to get it, but again, he's I mean this in a bad way. I think wrestlers should be able to wrestle to whatever age they want, but he's 42, and he's got a great place. He doesn't need anything like that, right? I don't think you need to give it to him. He's going to be fine regardless, because he's awesome, and he's great as it is. We've already worked it out. But then, honestly, when you start thinking about who else it could be, there's a bunch of other young guys, but I think if it's going to be another young guy, no, don't do that. Give it to Bron Breakker. Jacob for 2 now is a super duper mega babyface. Nobody wants it to be Solo Sikoa apart from me. I love Solo Sikoa, but you've got to be honest with these things. So you do all of a sudden start kind of losing these bits. And someone like Solo Sikoa would be great to fight John Cena in October. It would be so funny. I don't know how you get there, but it'd be hilarious. Roman Reigns will return at one point, but you don't need to do Roman Reigns versus John Cena. He could be on so if you're going to do the Randy Orton Cody stuff, Roman Reigns could be the guy that's on Team John Cena, just because it's going to do incredibly numbers at the box office and get people to watch. Then you can continue on the Cody versus Randy thing as well. But you don't want Roman Reigns and John Cena in the last match. That doesn't work at all. That would, apart from star power, we've seen it too much, right? I don't need that. I don't need to go back to that. And also, we don't know when John Cena is going to come back. I don't think we're going to get the Jey Uso match now. Somebody thought that would happen because, of course, he did go after Jey, but I feel like Jey is going off on his own pathway now. And if you are going to do it, we still have some time before SummerSlam. So if a match comes up, a Saturday night's main event, for example, when we're going to do Goldberg versus Gunther, fine. You could do Jey Uso versus John Cena, but John Cena ain't going to lose that. So I don't think Jey Uso needs to lose another match. That would be ridiculous. And then we're back round to where we were before. But there are plenty of people that can fill Cena's time from SummerSlam to this thing I've just talked about after he has dealt with Logan Paul. And listen, I would say probably at least 3 dates post SummerSlam are going to be on Logan Paul. And then once again, you're going to be soon getting into single figures. So you're going to run out of options anyway. Maybe there's one sort of event where they're like, oh man, we need Cody and John to have another big chat as babyfaces, which they've never really done because he turned heel at the Evolution Chamber. What's that? The Elimination Chamber, which was a long old time ago. It all depends what masters you're trying to serve, because if we are knee deep in the Cody versus Randy stuff, John could absolutely pop up and be like, hey boys, what's going on? I don't know why he's Bugs Bunny. I don't know why he's smoking a carrot. And look, I want to make it clear there are people like Carmelo Hayes that I would love to see have a match with John Cena. But Carmelo Hayes' call up from NXT has been totally nuts. But there are these, we'll call them secondary people, which is so horrible by me, but I don't mean that, just in the way they'll be on the hierarchy, that John Cena can absolutely clash with at random points during the second half of the year. I actually think he's going to be doing more appearances than matches in the latter half of 2025. Logan Paul match, absolutely. A Seth Rollins match, absolutely. The War Games, absolutely. And Bron Breakker, absolutely. And that is 4, well, absolutely, but we talked about it. That is 4 huge things. And also, if he does start feuding with the Seth Rollins group, maybe you do a Bronson Reed match. Maybe he just beats Bronson Reed. I mean, Bronson Reed ain't going to be like, I don't want to face John Cena. Of course he does. And if Ethan Page gets added, that's 6. Because you have to imagine if John John Cena's eventually going to lose. He beats Ethan Page, he beats Bronson Reed. Seth Rollins is the shenanigans match, which loses to War Games, and then Bron Breakker is the final. Oh man, you want to take on me? Well, you're not going to take on me. You're going to take on my dog. Ruff, ruff, ruff. And everyone starts barking because it's a bit weird when it comes to Bron Breakker. So that's what I think is going to happen. Cody is first, essentially, and then he loses that championship, goes right into a Logan Paul thing, which again is going to take up quite a few dates, and then I think relatively soon, because if we do the Logan Paul thing in September, then we're in October, and then Survivor Series is November. So I don't think you need to throw other more people in there. It would get a bit confusing. I would much rather, once the Logan Paul thing is done, to turn John Cena back babyface. It's all focused on that December show, right? Let's put all our bells and whistles into that. And do not forget as well, that may not be his last appearance. He may have one more towards the end of the year, which is his proper goodbye. So you have the Boston last match thingamajig, but his final appearance is on a Raw or SmackDown or whatever it may be, when he actually says goodbye, because that takes one off the 47 or whatever the flub it was. So that's what I am going to go with. I'm pretty confident, but also not confident at all, because I am an idiot. But more importantly, I want to know, what do you think? There'll be someone that I've forgotten about here, because I always forget about someone, and somebody already goes nuts. But that's great, because I want to inspire conversations, even if I do it by accident. That's perfectly fine. Otherwise, please do like the video, share the video, subscribe, click the video on the screen to hear more of my nonsense. Why the hell not? Otherwise, it is patreon.com/Simon316. It's grillermind.com/Simon. Use good time to get 10% off. These are the fitness supplements that I use, and they're great. Just got some, what is it I got the other day? It's like beef liver pills. It's just awesome. I want to eat beef liver, but there's you get a lot of benefits from beef liver. I don't know why I'm telling you about this, but they're good. Simon316 on social media, Simon Miller on Cameo, Simon J. Miller on TikTok, Pro Wrestling Tees, and Big Cartel. That's everything. Just support me as much as you can. If you're struggling with money right now, just watch videos for free. Use the free option. That's totally cool by me. And more often than not, I'm more impressed that you gave me any much of your time to begin with, because time is the most precious commodity we have. Keep enjoying wrestling. Enjoy John Cena. We've only got like 6 months left of him. Enjoy the day, my friends. See you soon.